Hi everybody and welcome to Observing with Webb for September of 2017. This is where the armchair astronomer figures out what they're looking at, what they should check out next, and why it's so cool. I switched those. Oh well. Don't forget to check out my Podbean page, my YouTube channel, and my Twitter feed. Also, you can get this as a podcast on Stitcher and iTunes. So, September, well, let's talk about August for a second. Wow, what a total solar eclipse. It was truly something wonderful. I headed down to Columbia, South Carolina. I was worried for a little bit because they were predicting 55% clouds, and I could have taken my family on a 2-hour trip to get 35% clouds, but I decided not to, and we stuck it out on the lake at the Airbnb that we rented, and the clouds parted, and we saw the whole thing. It was absolutely amazing. The clouds parted, the code read correctly in my cameras, the laptop did not overheat, I was just lucky to get some really awesome pictures, which you're seeing right now. I did not know I could really do that, but really the best part was being out there with the family. My son and I got to see this. My wife and I got to see this. Really just amazing. My son was just so excited, and even my wife, who usually looks through a telescope and says, "Oh, look, it's gray and fuzzy," she was absolutely enthralled by it, and we're thinking of becoming eclipse chasers, but who isn't right now? But anyway, I'll be putting together a full video and sending it out to everybody. But I've been trying to get videos together for the beginning of the school year. I'm redoing all my STEM videos and also this video. So that's kind of on the back burner. So just, it'll come out. So anyway, let's move on. September. Decidedly less exciting than August. We've got 3 naked eye planets, 2 that you can see with your binoculars. We've got some typical close encounters between the moon and the planets. And it's just a great month to get out there and take a look. So what planets can you see with your naked eye? Well, take a look. I have this set for September 1st, and I have it set for sunset around 7:35. I'll go a little bit later in the night, maybe about 8 o'clock. And what you can see is you can see Jupiter and Saturn up there. Now, Jupiter's way off in the west-southwest. That's going to set soon. In fact, let me fast forward time. In the beginning of the month, Jupiter sets right around 9 o'clock. You really don't have much time to see it. Let me back up to 8 o'clock. And then what's going to happen is Saturn is also going to set, but that's going to take a while. It's going to travel, and it's not going to set until about midnight at the beginning of the month. But you'll notice, let me back up again to 8. What you'll notice is that throughout the month, they actually get lower and lower in the sky. So I'm just going to fast forward time 1 day every tap, and you notice that they get lower and lower in the sky. In fact, sunset actually changes a little bit, but really what's happening is Jupiter's getting lower in the sky. It's gone by the second week in September. Can't really see it. And by the end of the month, Saturn, even though it's between Sagittarius and Scorpius, up there in the south with the Milky Way, it sets around 10 p.m. by the end of the month. So those are the 2 planets you can see around sunset. Let me go back to September 1st, but let's look east, and let's go to sunrise. Okay? Now, if we're looking east around sunrise on September 1st, you're seeing, well, technically, let me zoom in a bit here. Technically, Mars and Mercury are down there, but they're going to be really hard to see. So let's see what happens. Venus is up here. Venus is great in the morning. It rises around 4:30. It's bright and visible, about 20 degrees high, and all month. But you'll notice as the days go by that Venus changes its position a little bit. So watch what I do. I'm going to go forward in time, and you notice Venus gets lower, and Mercury and Mars both get a little bit higher. And you'll notice that Mars passes Mercury. Now, if you're really good, around September 18th, you might be able to catch Venus, the Moon, Mars, and Mercury kind of in the same spot. You'll definitely need binoculars and a good sky app or something like that. But I digress. Venus is starting to get lower in the sky, so let's see, I have it as it'll stop being visible in October. It's getting closer and closer to the sun. So this is your last real month to see it in the morning sky. And Mars is moving up and getting pretty close to Venus actually on the 30th. And in fact, next month they'll have a nice little conjunction. I think they're about a degree or two apart. So Mars is starting to become more visible. But you can check that out. Mercury is pretty much not really visible, but you can find binoculars in the beginning, middle of the month. And a bunch of other stuff. So what other stuff do we have going on? Well, not too much, which actually makes it a great month to go through all those eclipse pictures and Photoshop them and edit those videos. So really what we got going on, let me go back to September 6th. We have a full moon on September 6th. Let me go to sunset. Okay, a little bit further. And you'll notice the full moon rises up around 8 p.m. And it's going to be visible the entire night. Then let me fast forward to about midnight. And if we look around midnight, but keep a nice wide eye, if you look around midnight and you keep going forward, the moon gets lower and lower. And if we zoom in, it starts turning into a half moon, or last quarter moon, which just so happens to be on September 13th. Fast forward a little bit. There you go. Right when it's near Taurus. Now what's also going to happen, let's fast forward time to the morning. And if you remember, in the morning you can see Venus and Mercury. So let me fast forward time by day and go to, there we go, 17th and 18th. Let me set it to sunrise. Let's back off till about 6 a.m. If you're out at 6 a.m. on the 17th, I know I kind of already said this, but on the 17th you'll see a very thin crescent moon. You might need binoculars for that. Venus, you won't need binoculars for that, but you'll see them pretty close together. And Mars and Mercury are technically down there, but tough to see. Then on the 18th, you can see Venus, the moon, Mars, and Mercury all making a line. Mars and Mercury, again, will probably need binoculars, but I'm sure Lane can do it. Go ahead, Lane. I challenge you. All right, let's see. We've got then a new moon on the 20th. You've noticed it's been getting thinner and thinner and closer to the sun, which means now we got to head to the west and set it to sunset. What we had got going on is, that's great grammar, we have the 22nd. We've got a nice close encounter between the moon and Jupiter. They are about 7 degrees apart over there in the western sky. You'll probably have trouble finding Jupiter since it's low in the sky, but the moon shouldn't be quite as hard to see. Also on the 22nd, we have our fall equinox, which is when all locations on Earth experience a day of almost exactly 12 hours and a night of almost exactly 12 hours. There's a better definition out there for that, more technical, but that's what it really means for us humans. Then on the 26th, let's zoom back out and let's watch. You see Jupiter down there and the moon and Saturn. What's going to happen is every day the moon's going to get a little bigger, a little thicker, a little higher in the sky, and it'll get closer to Saturn. And then, if I zoom in, we'll get the right size here. You'll see the moon, very thick crescent, that's about 3 degrees above and to the right of Saturn. So if you have trouble finding Saturn, or you don't know which star is which, or which star is a planet, Saturn, that's a great night to look because the moon will be right nearby. Now, if you notice, the moon is still crescent, but it's pretty close to being a half moon. So all we have to do is fast forward 2 days, and we've got the first quarter moon, which is visible from, well, during the daytime until about midnight. All right, so what constellations can you see in September? Well, I'm looking straight up at the zenith here, and right now it's about 8:30, so it's after sunset when the constellations finally come out. You can still see some of the summer constellations like Lyra the Harp and Cygnus the Swan. And if you fast forward a bit of time, you notice that Cygnus sort of flies by, and you'll see that Lacerda the Lizard starts creeping in, and about midnight, you've got Lacerda and you've got Pegasus kind of over there as well. Now, if you keep scrolling or keep staying up, you'll start seeing, in the morning, you'll start seeing some of the winter constellations. Perseus, kind of fall winter, but then Auriga's over here, definitely a winter constellation as well. Let me talk real quick about the summer constellations. So let's look due south, but let's look toward sunset, and let's take a wide eye, big view. And so what you'll see is around 8 o'clock, like I said, Cygnus, Aquila, Lyra. These three bright stars make up the summer triangle. Okay? And that's going to be moving toward the west throughout the night and then be replaced by the fall constellations Pegasus and Andromeda up here. You should see this nice square. Now, if you're looking earlier in the night, let me rewind to just after sunset. Pegasus and Andromeda are over here in the east. You might be able to see the Andromeda Galaxy over here. And now over in the west, we see the spring constellations getting out of the way. Bootes, Hercules, Corona Borealis. Okay? And that's pretty much it for the month of September. Not much going on. Edit those eclipse pictures. Look at everybody else's eclipse pictures and spread them. Make them go viral because eclipse pictures are great. And all in all, I hope you have very clear, dark skies for the month of September.